Alrighty, so you want to get into the real estate investing game, and you know over here we're talking all about land investing, but let's be real, there are some deal killers that could come up that usually leave people paralyzed to not even step into the game. So in this video, I want to cover some of the deal killers you could potentially run into and how you could pivot from these so you could continue to push forward, get your deals done, and flip your way to financial freedom. So once again, we're talking about land investing here, and if you have any questions, you know to drop those down below or text them to me at 440-567-6040. I'd be happy to follow up and create the content answering your questions for you. And on top of that, in the description below this video is plenty of resources you can use to go ahead and scale upon your land investment business, including jumping on consulting calls with me to walk you through your first or next land investment deal. But let's get back to the topic at hand here. We're talking about deal killers. How do we navigate through these deal killers so we could go ahead and become successful and get the money we're after? So some of the deal killers that are going to come up is the first most basic thing is not doing your due diligence on a property. Now, we're talking about land investing here. There's two different ways to go ahead and do the due diligence process, at least in my world. Now, obviously you should always get a title company to check out the title on a property, but a lot of the deals we do are off the grid, raw land in the middle of the desert that nobody's ever had a mortgage on. In cases like this, about the due diligence process is one, I make sure I'm dealing with the owner when someone wants to sell me the property. So whoever I'm talking to, I go on the county tax assessor website or county treasurer website. I will look up the parcel number and I'll make sure the owner's name matches the person I'm talking to. That's not quite enough though. It's a good start, but not enough. While I'm on the treasurer's site, I want to go ahead and check the tax roll. Are we behind on taxes? Are we current on taxes? Does the address match the address of the person I'm about to do this business with? Just some basic things to check into. Now let's talk about if there's back taxes owed on the property. If there's back taxes owed, you don't have to run away from the deal. You just have to know, is the seller going to take care of the taxes, or am I going to make a low enough offer that I could go ahead and assume this tax bill and still be profitable? And don't worry, we're going to talk about some profiting strategies in a minute here, but let's just cover the basics. So we want to cover all that. And on top of it, if there's back taxes owed, we want to reach out to the county. And I'm talking about real taxes, not $20, $50, $100. If there's a couple $100 to $1,000 owed, we want to reach out to the county and see if they're actually doing a foreclosure process and an auction on the property, taking it back, because you don't want to buy a property that's already at the auction house and someone's going to have rights to it and you have to go through this whole mess to try and get the property back. Hope you're sticking with me here. Once again, you got questions, drop those down below or text me. Anyway, once we check the tax roll, we know everything's good and we know what these properties are selling for, we could submit our offer and then we could go ahead and profit from there. So that's deal killer number one. Now, deal killer number two is overpaying for a property. Now, this is super common in the beginning, and in all reality, I tell people, get in the game. Don't blindly buy properties, but just get in there, get a deal, flip a deal. Even if you break even or you lose a few dollars, you just learn the whole entire process and you paid to learn. That's okay. Now we know what works and how to become profitable. But how do we avoid overpaying for a property? The biggest part is knowing the value of properties, and I have plenty of videos on this channel discussing how to go ahead and assess values. But the simplest form of this is, let's say we're looking at 1 acre properties in Navajo County, Arizona. We want to go ahead and go to Land Watch, Land Phillip, Land and Farm, Land Century, Land Central, Rural Vacant Land. We want to go to every land investing website out there, or land selling, land listing website, whatever you want to refer to it as, and see what everybody else is selling these for. What are they listing them for? That doesn't necessarily mean they're actually converting at that price, but it'll give us a ball game of what the market is demanding for these. So if all these are being listed for $2,500, it's a pretty safe bet that if you get them for less than $1,200, there's a little bit of meat on the bone and you will be profitable. Now, let's say you overpay for the property here. There are exit strategies where you could still become profitable. It may take you a little bit longer to get your profits, but don't worry, we don't have to lose money on these deals. We'll get into that shortly here. And finally, the last part before we get into exit strategies is the fear of not finding a buyer. I'll say this, out of the hundreds of deals I've done, I've always been able to find a buyer for the property. Now, that's not to say everything's sold really fast. Sometimes these deals take time, and there are strategies to find a buyer, which we're going to get into right now. But don't let the fear of not finding a buyer scare you away. Here's the best ways to find a buyer. Now, if you're a flipper, obviously you want to go ahead and say, if they're all going for $2,500, you want to buy yours cheap enough that you could sell yours for $2,200 2000, 1950, somewhere in there. Let's say you paid $900 for this. There's still meat on the bone. You could exit. You're undercutting the market. You're being a wholesaler or a wholetailer, just undercutting the retail price and getting profitable. That's a great way to find buyers. The next way, what I tell everybody, you will always find a buyer for a property if you create very desirable financing for the property. Here's what I mean by this. People love the ability to leverage other people's money. So if you have a property that is selling for, let's say you want to sell it for $2,500, nobody's biting. You drop the price again, nobody's biting again. So then you say, well, I will finance this property, $50 down, $50 a month for 60 months. People will bite at that. Now they said, I don't have the $2,500, $2,400, whatever numbers we were throwing out before, but I absolutely have $50 a month and I'll stretch it out for 60 months. I'm good with that. Now your profit, it just went up on paper because you now have an IOU where you get monthly income from these properties. This is how I do the vast majority of my deals. Now, let's say we don't sell it still at this. You got to throw in a loss leader. This is the final bait that I do. And there are times in the land investment business where business gets slow. And when it gets slow, we have to dangle some cool stuff in front of our potential buyers to get them to want to go ahead and bust out the credit card and do business with us. Let's do the same exact scenario we just did. A property that we were trying to flip for a little over $2,000. We didn't have any cash buyers for. We went ahead and decided to do financing, $50 down, $50 a month for 60 months to create that note. And we're getting some nibbles, but nobody's converting. A trick that I would do is throw in something that everybody's going to love. So for me, I would throw in 1 ounce silver coins or 1 ounce silver bars with the purchase on the front end. Here's how this works. This property is being listed for $50 down, $50 a month for 60 months. The buyer will receive a 1 ounce silver coin or silver bar, which cost me, let's just say $30 for easy numbers. They're enticed by this. They want to do business now. So they'll go ahead and send me $100, which is the down payment plus first month's payment. I have $100. Out of that $100, I'm going to take 30 of that and I'm going to send them a coin. They're going to love this nice little asset I had just sent out to them there. This gets people in the game and they want to start buying. And it could create a buying frenzy. More buyers will show up and say, hey, is that deal still going? Absolutely, the deal's still going. Sell, sell, sell till you have nothing to sell anymore. But you send out that coin, back to the beginning part here, they give you $100, you take out 30 to send them the coin, you have $70 in your pocket. And then they're going to pay you each month. You can lose a little bit on the front end to make up for it on the back end. So that's where you got to go ahead and do a loss leader. Per se, you're really not losing anything, just the front end, you're dangling a little bit more magic in front of them so they want to go ahead and buy, and you will convert more buyers. Now, that's why I always say don't let the fear of not finding a buyer hold you up. There are going to be times where business gets slow. Not everybody's going to be lining up all the time to buy your deals. Get creative, do some really enticing ads, throw in some bonuses, and make it so valuable they can't help but do business with you. There's ways to go ahead and work the system, if you will, to go ahead and generate more buyers. And then once you have those buyers and they like doing business with you and they're comfortable with you, they will continue to buy from you because that's just how the land game works. Very rarely do people just buy one property off of you unless they're just looking to diversify a little bit. In many cases, they're in it for 3 or more. So remember that. Treat your buyers good on the front end. They will come back for more deals. Now, having said all this, with the potential deal killers, there is always a way to navigate that. It's usually just doing your homework up front or get good at your ad placement. Do not let that slow you down from this business. The whole entire part of the land investing game for me was a game changer because it eliminated all the stress I went through in residential real estate and rental real estate, and I had the perfect portfolio of solid assets that threw off monthly income for me month in and month out. And with that, I was able to profit and scale and get the true financial freedom dream, generating passive income versus the idea of passive income, wholesaling, rental real estate, all that. It's a lot of drama. It wasn't for me. This is a fantastic way to build a portfolio and fund your financial freedom dreams. Now, I know I did some rambling there, but stick with me. Let's think about this. You came all the way to the end of this video, and I appreciate you sticking with me on that. Get through your first deal. The goal should be to just get a deal done in the beginning. Your first deal, just get a deal done. Start to finish. If you lose a little bit, it's okay. You learn the moving parts. Now on our next deal, I always say, let's try and do a deal that covers our tiniest bill. And this could be like our Netflix bill. We could go ahead and buy a tiny property, do it on seller financing terms for our exit strategy, like 25 down, 25 a month for 48 months. that $25 payment will now cover your Netflix bill. That'll change your mindset. I know it's tiny, it's not a big deal, but you're like, okay, that pays for that bill. Let's go ahead and do a bigger deal that'll go ahead and pay my phone bill. Let's do another deal that pays for insurance, or 2 deals that pay for insurance. Let's do 4 deals that make my car payment. And you start, just bringing in these assets, flipping them, and that cash flow is going to pay off each one of your liabilities that you have each month. This could be a side hustle for you just to generate a few extra dollars, or it could literally fund your whole lifestyle so you free up all the time that you can go ahead and pursue the next big thing you're after. And that's all we really want to do. Nobody wants to be stuck in the 9-to-5 grind. We want to generate these new income streams that don't take a lot of time and a lot of stress to go ahead and pay for our liabilities so we can do what we want, when we want, with whomever we want. Now, I really do appreciate if you stuck with me to the end here. Once again, if you have any questions, just drop those down below. I'm happy to answer those for you. You can text me at 440-567-6040 and check out landflippingmichael.com if you want to set up a consulting call where I'll help you walk through your next deal. That can be found directly below in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.